She only wanted to pump gas and head home. No crime, no scene, just an ordinary night at a lonely station. But within moments, flashing lights cut through the darkness, and what should have been routine spiraled into a nightmare. Surrounded, accused, and threatened, her presence alone seemed to provoke suspicion. Yet, hidden beneath her calm exterior was a truth that could shatter every assumption made about her that night. The question is, when the uniforms finally discovered who she really was, would it already be too late? It was supposed to be an ordinary stop. Maya, a hardworking woman who split her days between community work and late-night studying, pulled into the gas station just before midnight. To her, this place was familiar. Bright lights against the silence of an empty road, a quick stop before heading home to rest. She carried herself with quiet confidence, the kind built from years of resilience in a world that often tried to silence her voice. But on this night, as she filled her tank, something felt different. The hum of the pump was broken by the sudden glare of headlights pulling in fast. Her chest tightened, though she kept her movement steady. She had no reason to worry, at least not yet. What Maya didn't know was that within minutes, this ordinary stop would turn into a confrontation that tested not only her safety, but also the painful reality faced by so many who look like her. The car doors slammed, and two officers stepped out, their flashlights cutting sharp beams through the dimly lit lot. Maya's heart picked up pace. She wasn't doing anything wrong, but experience had taught her that sometimes innocence wasn't enough. "Ma'am, what are you doing out here this late?" one of them barked, though the answer was obvious. Their tone wasn't curious, it was accusatory. She tried to steady her breath, reminding herself that she had every right to be here. But the way their eyes lingered on her skin, the way they closed the distance too fast, it wasn't about safety. It was about control. One officer circled to her side, glancing into her car, while the other stood close, invading her space. "Where are you coming from? Where are you headed?" The questions tumbled out like traps, their voices laced with suspicion. She answered calmly, but each word seemed to fuel their irritation, as though politeness itself was defiance. Her pulse quickened when one officer placed his hand near his holster, not drawing, but enough to send a chill racing down her spine. The night air felt heavier, each second stretching long. She thought about her family, about how many times headlines started just like this. A black person stopped for nothing, accused of everything, and never making it home. One officer demanded to see her ID. She handed it over with steady hands, but the flashlight scanned it longer than necessary. Then came the smirk. "Doesn't look like you belong around here." The words pierced deeper than the beam of the light, a reminder that in their eyes, presence itself was suspicious. The tension grew sharper. Another squad car pulled up, tires crunching over gravel, more lights flashing red and blue against the gas pumps. 3 officers now, their voices overlapping, each one louder, harsher, more certain she was hiding something. They weren't looking for truth. They were building a case out of thin air, hoping fear would make her slip, but Maya didn't flinch. She stood firm, her calmness unsettling them more than anger ever could. Inside, though, her thoughts raced. How far would they take this? How much danger was she truly in? And most haunting of all, what would happen when they realized she wasn't the easy target they thought she was? The night was closing in, the circle tightening. Every second was a gamble, and the moment of truth, when her hidden identity came to light, was getting closer. But would it arrive before things went too far? The tension snapped like a wire pulled too tight. One officer stepped closer, his hand gripping the butt of his weapon, eyes narrowed as if searching for a reason, any reason, to escalate. "Step away from the car!" he shouted, his voice sharp, echoing off the empty station walls. Maya raised her hands slowly, her chest tight, every breath measured. She had done everything right, answered their questions, followed their commands, yet the danger only grew. Another officer muttered, "She's hiding something," his voice dripping with certainty, though they had found nothing. The weight of their suspicion pressed down on her like a verdict already decided. For a moment, time seemed frozen. The flashing lights painted her skin in red and blue. The silent gas station transformed into a stage of fear. Maya's heart pounded. Not just for herself, but for every story she knew too well. Names spoken in protest, faces remembered on murals, lives cut short in moments like this. She could be next. Then, as one officer reached for her arm, ready to force her against the car, Maya made a choice. Calmly, deliberately, she spoke words that shattered the tension. "You might want to call your supervisor." Confusion flickered across their faces, but arrogance kept them pressing. She reached slowly into her jacket, movements precise, and pulled out the badge they never expected to see. The night air shifted. The officers froze, disbelief etched on their faces. The woman they had cornered, belittled, and threatened was not just another target. She was one of the very people they claimed to serve, an undercover federal agent with the power to hold them accountable. For the first time all night, it wasn't Maya who looked afraid. The silence that followed was heavier than the shouting had been. The officers stepped back, their bravado dissolving as the badge glinted under the harsh station lights. In that instant, every word they had spoken, every threat they had made became evidence, not against her, but against themselves. Maya didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her calm presence and undeniable authority spoke louder than any protest could. But here's the truth. This night left a scar. Not because she was powerless, far from it, but because she knew what would have happened if she hadn't been carrying that badge. How many others had stood in her place, with no shield, no protection, and no second chance? For Maya, the danger was real. But for countless others, the danger becomes the ending. This was more than one woman's story. It was a mirror reflecting the deep cracks in a system where suspicion too often replaces justice, and skin color becomes a verdict. Maya walked away alive, but not unchanged. She carried the weight of knowing that her survival was tied not to fairness, but to an identity they didn't expect. So the question lingers. How many more times will stories like this play out in silence, unseen, until the world can no longer look away? And when it does, will we finally be ready to change it?